Welcome to this overview of the InsureRight platform, which is designed to help P&C insurers make more informed decisions by leveraging data analytics and measure the business impact of those decisions. We'll start with our Predict application, which underwriters use to make individual risk selection and pricing decisions. This web user interface is one of 3 ways that we provide scores to underwriters. There's also available a web services API for direct platform integration and a batch scoring facility. Rather than entering all of the information for this score from scratch, I'm going to retrieve a previous score from the Retrieve tab. Now that I've looked this policy up, I'm simply going to rescore it. As you can see, InsureRight Predict requires relatively few inputs to generate a score for this account. We've got some basic demographic information, the who, the where, the EMOD, the expiring term claim counts, and the exposure by payroll class by state. Now I'll submit and get the report. The report is going to be available to us online in this window as well as in PDF form. Many carriers embed this PDF into their document management systems. The InsureRight report is a summary of the inputs and outputs of the InsureRight model. What we see at the top is the demographic information for this account: name, address, EMOD, prior claim history, and so on. It's what we entered in the Predict screen on the previous page. Immediately below, we have the risk score. This is the meat of the report for most underwriters. What we see here is that this account has a risk score of 1.29, indicating that the account has a loss ratio predicted to be 29% worse than average, or a bin 9 on a scale of 1 to 10. We also provide the reason codes, or the explains, for this score. Why did the model give this particular indication? Below, we show 2 additional scores: the misclassification and premium impact scores, which give the underwriter some information about how accurate the projected payroll classes are, as well as the potential impact to premium, that is additional premium or return premium, when this misclassification is corrected at audit. In this particular case, we say that there is a high probability of misclass. Between 12 and 15% of the payroll is probably in the wrong class. But the impact of correcting this will be minimal. We expect no change in premium at post-audit. I'll show you why on page 2. On page 2, we start with the exposures as noted. 3 class codes: 5537, 8742, and 8810. That's HVAC, sales, and clerical. You can see the percentage of payroll right here. The middle section we call our swap set analysis. Since 5537 is our initial governing class code, we want to know how often similar accounts have exposure issues. Well, our industry database tells us that over 96% of the time, accounts with 5537 as the governing class code are correctly identified. So there's no problem here. Now let's go down to section 3, where we look at companion classes. What classes are typically found alongside 5537? Here we see that we typically find 8810 and 8742. Clerical is found 66% of the time, and sales is found 27% of the time alongside HVAC. Usually, about 2/3 of the account is HVAC, but there's usually more clerical exposure than sales exposure, as you can see here. When we look at the account we're pricing, we see that these 3 class codes are present: 5537, 8742, and 8810. HVAC is about right with 64% of the payroll, but sales and clerical classes are swapped. Here we've got twice as much sales as clerical when our industry database says it should be the other way around. This is why we have a high misclass indication. However, since the premium rates for sales and clerical are very similar, this misclassification probably won't have much premium impact, so our premium impact score is neutral. Now we'll move to our Manage application. InsureRight Manage is a business intelligence framework similar to tools like Domo or Tableau or Click, where data elements can be filters, by values, graphical elements, or tabular elements. It's differentiated from these tools in that it incorporates predictive statistics alongside traditional insurance metrics to give insight into the impact and performance of carriers' predictive models. This first page in the demo is a high-level dashboard that shows some familiar production metrics as well as a visual overview of the 3 predictive scores: risk, misclass, and premium impact, along with a heat map of each predictive score by state. I'm now going to show some more interesting examples of the effective use of predictive statistics in evaluating model impact. First, we're going to look at underwriting outcome by bin. This graph displays the bound business in green, declined business in orange, and lost business in red by bin. We see here that bin 1, our best quality risks, have a very high bind to quote ratio in green. They have very few declinations in orange. We also have the lowest rate of lost opportunities in red for these excellent accounts. On the other end of the scale, we see that in bin 10, our least profitable opportunities, we have the highest declination rate and a very low bind to quote rate. It looks like we're being undercut on these opportunities, which is exactly what we want to see. What this tells us is that our underwriters are effectively using predictive analytics to target the best quality risks and avoid the worst quality risks. Another view of this that gives us quantitative estimate of the impact is the underwriting checkbook. This is an illustration of an underwriter's contribution to overall profitability month by month. The bars here represent the underwriter's overall profit contribution by comparing the actual premium quoted versus the model indicated premium. Green bars mean the underwriter is quoting above the model floor price, and red indicates a price below the model floor. This underwriter had a great month in January, pricing well above the model indicated floor. This trend continued through the first half of the year, and by July, the underwriter had accumulated about $350,000 in bound premium above the model indicated price. This is like putting underwriting profit into the bank. Then something happens the second half of the year. Month after month, this underwriter is giving back some of that profit, pricing under the model floor price. Why is this? It could be a change in the market conditions, a new rate plan, or just a more aggressive underwriting approach. Regardless, this is a great signal to the underwriter or the underwriting manager to investigate what's changed and take corrective action if needed. This is a leading indicator on underwriting profit. Using predicted profit at the policy level, we can discover changes in loss ratio essentially in real time, instead of having to wait another 6 months for the claims to begin to emerge. Finally, we can use InsureRight Manage to evaluate the performance of the model itself. Here we see a traditional lift chart. It shows the distribution of written premium by bin from 1 to 10. Here you see we're writing quite a bit in bin 1 and not much in bin 10, which is a good thing. You also see the blue line, which is the model predicted loss ratio. This is low in bin 1 and high in bin 10. Overlaid is the yellow line, which is our actual current incurred loss ratio. Is our model giving us accurate predictions? Well, we can see that the actual and incurred loss ratios line up very well here in bin 7 through 10. This stuff is clearly the high loss ratio business, just as expected. And over here in bins 1 through 4, where loss ratio is predicted to be low, we do in fact see our lowest actual incurred loss ratios. We can be confident that if we are targeting the low bin business and avoiding the high bin business, that we're acting on a valid indication. This is what InsureRight is really all about. It's providing insight and intelligence to help turn a model into increased profitability. On the predict side, it's giving the underwriter an easy-to-read, explanatory report to help apply model results to risk selection and pricing decisions. On the manage side, it's giving managers tools to evaluate model performance and adoption and leading indicators on profitability. The InsureRight platform is designed to provide the clarity and insights needed to help companies leverage data and analytics to make better decisions and drive bottom-line results.